to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. I am Patrina Wisdom, author, speaker, and wealth mentor, and today I have the honor of interviewing one of my sisters in wealth building. This is Racine with Dreamscapers Unlimited, and today we're going to have a juicy conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited. Thank you for being here. So I want to, first off, I don't like to lead just with our businesses, right? So often in life, it's like you're defined by what you do rather than who you are. So I'd love for you to take an opportunity to share with our audience who you are as a woman, as a person.
Okay, absolutely. I always, let everybody know my ATL. I'm a Georgia peach. I'm the what they call the exception, which is the Grady baby.
Okay.
And born and raised here in Atlanta. Okay. And I am married for 15 years and a few months now. Yes. And so definitely enjoy, just the environment here. I've never left Atlanta. I've always been able to really build a business here.
Fabulous.
And I heard someone say something about multi-passionate.
Yes.
I am a serial entrepreneur as well, and have multiple things that I do and I enjoy.
Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about those things because from what I know of you from our brief conversation is that you are in the financial services industry, right? You're a VP for Primerica, is that correct?
Exactly.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about that. For someone who may not understand what that means, what does that entail for you?
Well, one of the things when I started here, I came as a client of the company first.
Sure.
And so with my background, I'm an accountant by trade from Georgia State University.
Okay.
And so one of the things I realized is that, hey, accountants know how to count the beans, but of course, they don't know how to make them grow.
That part.
So I said, hey, I need someone to figure out how to make myself move financially ahead.
Yeah.
And my sister referred me to another financial advisor, and that's how I started.
Fantastic.
It's been history ever since. And a year later, I decided to start part-time because I figured it would be diversifying my background as well. And I figured the people around me could really use the information. So a year later, I went full-time. I left my job. That's a whole nother situation.
Right.
I'll tell you about that later. But and I've been here for over 20 years now.
Fantastic. That's a long time.
Yeah, it seems like it was yesterday, actually. So, yeah.
So obviously you found your passion.
I did.
Through getting help yourself.
I have.
And let me ask you then, did you get any kind of financial education or knowledge in your household or growing up? You went to freaking college and, all of this. Did you get any of that, or was that something you were seeking?
No, actually. My mother and father both non-high school, only high school, no college. I'm second generation college. And I remember, my dad was really good, frugal with money.
Yes.
He worked hard. He was, had 3 or 4 hustles. I call them hustles because he had to, provide for 4 kids.
Making ends meet.
And my mom was staying at home, sick from work. And so I realized that, hey, I had to, figure out some things on my own. I just watched, but they don't tell you everything. That wasn't, a course in college or high school or elementary school about money. And so I remember my first time even talking about going to college, my dad said, well, I knew he couldn't pay for it. I didn't even bother to ask. I figured I had to figure out a way to get it done. And so that education for finance, of course, you set up your checking account, balance the checking account. That was probably the most of what they taught us and how to put away money.
Well, because they used to have home ec.
Yeah.
We don't even have that anymore in the schools.
Exactly. I don't even think home ec even taught us the financial part.
Not so much. I think you did learn how to write a check, but you didn't learn how to balance your checkbook.
Yes, exactly.
They teach you how to spend, but they don't teach you
exactly. And even thinking about that, I think sometimes even when I was growing up, for females especially, we were really thinking about just being the ones that go into the household, raise our kids. Yeah, we might work.
Yes.
And that wasn't pushed.
Right.
If you get a great career, great, but then you're going to be a homemaker.
Right.
Okay, so I think that's where home.
And that was the background of your parents. Your mom was a homemaker.
Exactly.
So how'd you overcome that programming?
kind of the start was when I decided to go to college.
Yeah.
My dad said, okay, what career are you going to decide on, because you need to figure out what's where there's going to be a great demand. And so he said, go to the papers and see what, fields are more, dominant.
Sure.
And so I went to the A's, and that's where I stopped. And I saw accounting.
There you go.
Because I'm great with numbers.
Okay.
And that's where I decided to get my career started in college. And so from there, and I knew I was good at numbers as well, because one, I knew my background and how I started, and I knew I wanted to make sure I, provided for not only my immediate family, but the family that I wanted to have.
Okay.
So
I love that. And so there was something in you. For one thing, I would venture to say that you're special in the sense that, I won't say most, because I don't know the statistics, but I know a lot of women struggle with math and numbers. We're intimidated by it. We don't really want to dive into that piece. So the fact that you were naturally gifted in the area of numbers, you followed the path, that you were meant to be in.
Yeah.
So how then did you transition from being in accounting? Like, what was that final push or experience that led you to leave corporate America and leave the accounting piece and move into serving families and financial services?
Gotcha. I have to admit that I struggled with finance.
Yeah, I'm sure we all did, because we didn't learn it.
Two defining things.
Yes.
One, my first experience financially was just even grade school. And I was a member of the Girl Scouts, and I remember, we get allowances, each week. And I remember going on a trip, and I remember asking my dad, hey, for money to go on this trip. And my dad said, hey, money doesn't grow on trees, I don't have it.
Right.
And so I, of course, wouldn't ask again. And so I went on the trip. I took the money that I had already had, and it was probably for the weekend. And I remember coming back, and we stopped to get dinner.
Yeah.
And I remember only having a couple of dollars in my pocket. And for whatever reason, as a young child, I just thought, okay, I'm going to figure it out by the time I got to the cash register.
Right.
And I said, okay, when I get to the cash register, she'll either going to let me have it, or she'll take the dollars that I have.
Yeah.
I remember being just livid with fear and just embarrassment. But when I got to the cash register, a good friend of mine saw what was going on, and she handed me the money.
Okay.
And I said I would never get into that position again, that I would have to, ask somebody for money or not have the money that I needed at whatever point in time. So fast forward, my dad said, when I got home, he said, well, why didn't you ask, did you leave here without asking for money? What did you have? And I said, well, I had what I had for allowance. And he said, why did you leave without asking for more? And I said, you said you didn't have it. He said, I was joking. And I'm like, for a kid, 5th grade, when your parents say what they say, you don't question it.
Yeah.
But fast forward, I didn't want that experience to happen to me again.
It was a defining moment.
It really was.
Yeah.
Here I am in college, finishing college, starting my career, and I was using credit cards to really enjoy it. And my husband and I, we were talking about the time that, I was doing buy here, pay here car lots, and I would go and pay my car note every, month and drive up and put the payment in the box. Some of y'all may not can relate. Okay, but it happened, and he would ride with me when we were dating. He was like, I hated that experience, and I was like, I hated it too.
Right.
So I had to figure out, hey, this has to change the cycle. And I figured if other women like myself were going through it, other people in my community were going through it, I needed to position myself and then position others. So that was sort of how I really got into the financial service arena, because if I could help other people, I definitely wanted to start with me and then help the people around me and make change. Because ultimately, I know that the picture that's on my mantle, I want it to be me and change generations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now let me ask you this, because you talked about the narrative of money doesn't grow on trees, but did you come from a middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, wealthy family? Because just because they say those things doesn't mean they don't actually have the money. So I'm interested to find out, what your your financial situation was growing up?
Mother and father, like I said, high school diploma, middle, blue collar worker. My mom worked in a factory here in Georgia, so no, just common sense, as my dad say.
Right.
He took smart pills to figure it out, but otherwise than that was it, what is middle income during that time?
Well, I think when I say middle income, it's how much struggle was there. Like, do you I have distinct memories of not having heat or power being turned off or having to jump from friend to friend or family member to family member's homes, from struggle. So to me, that's lower middle class / poor.
Well, let's just put that as, I remember getting the government cheese. I remember the milk being dropped off at the front door. I remember the tuna in cans.
Yes.
Like that huge.
There you go. Yes.
That was our lifestyle. And then I remember family members coming to bring food.
Yes.
And we, coming as a nuclear families and sharing, especially on the weekends, because, hey, we figured communal, it would bring, family together and rent parties.
Yes.
And at the time, I didn't realize rent parties.
And so we go through these experiences as we're growing up, not even realizing that there may be financial challenges because why? You probably had all the love, as did I.
Exactly.
You had all the joy, as did I. So there is a difference between broke and poor, right?
Exactly.
And so obviously you had never even really given that much thought, because you had everything else. You were in a space of abundance, even though financially your parents may have been struggling.
Right.
And so I do want to make that distinction, because finance does not equal happiness. However, finance will amplify happiness and opportunity, right?
It's right up there with the air you breathe. It's necessary.
Exactly. It is.
And but great question.
Well, I think the narrative of women that we're programmed to believe that money is not everything. Like, we just need love. We just need our family. Like, okay, but somebody needs to feed the family. Somebody needs to keep a roof over the head, right? And so when we're not preoccupied with the stress of having to make ends meet, and we have an overflow, we have an abundance of finance, I think it definitely lessens our stress levels, which then increases our health and allows us to be more present in our relationships,
Exactly.
So I'm sure you see that in the work that you do.
I do. And you just mentioned health. Just the choices, especially that we have, is monetary too.
Yes.
Having insurance. Even you have the reaction of doctors when you go, depending on if you have insurance or if you don't, or depending on what kind of insurance you have, their response to you is different.
It's true. And even if you have insurance, right? There are some conditions where the medical care you're going to get through your insurance is far different from what you can get privately. Like, for me, I'm very holistic. I'm not taking your medicines. I'm not getting your shots. I'm just not doing these things, right? And I want to treat things holistically. Well, they're not covering my holistic treatments. They're not going to cover me to fly off to Guatemala and get some, you know what I mean? So I just think there's so much to it. Financial stability, financial overflow really equals options, choice.
It does.
Right?
It really does.
Yeah.
It does. And, helping women, especially, because we are the nuclear of the family, and that's kind of the first line of defense for our husbands, our kids, etc. And so I work with a lot of women, and especially as women transition, for retirement, they end up kind of being shortchanged financially, retirement, etc. Because they had to stop work to care for the families. They had to, health-wise, may take care of, now aging parents. So that time they would have been able to build a portfolio for retirement. Hey, it's versus men, it's not that much money accumulated. So I'm really passionate about working with women, especially women of color, to really move them forward, so that they can make right choices and enjoy retirement. Retirement is not going to take care of the grandkids necessarily, unless it's a choice.
That part.
Not retiring means that you can enjoy your life and travel when you decide to, and not be a financial decision. You know, having more money at the end of your month.
There you go.
You know, and really doing the thing. So yeah.
And the interesting thing about this conversation for you out there listening is that women typically live longer than men.
Absolutely.
So we're the ones who take care of our husbands, we take care of our children, we take care of our parents. We live longer, and if we don't have a financial education, if we don't have savings and investments and insurance of our own, you know, everyone else around us is going to suffer when we get sick. We need long-term care. We need all of these things to feel secure, but also so that we can continue to serve and nurture everyone around us. So this is big work we're doing, girl. Hey!
And we still have more work to do.
So much work to do.
But we're
and
ready.
I'm so happy every time I meet more women and women of color in this industry because it's so necessary.
It really is.
You know?
It really is.
So let's talk a little bit about family.
Okay.
Because one of our big challenges as women is balancing family and our careers, right? Which is why moms used to stay home. Keep it simple. We don't live in that time anymore. And so there's two things I would like to talk about. The first thing is I met your incredible husband. He's beautiful. And I can see the love and I can see the support. And so I want to just talk to you a little bit about what that looks like to be a strong, badass, entrepreneurial woman and have this man by your side that is not competing, that is not, you know, in his ego, trying to hold you down, just totally supporting and loving and celebrating you.
Gotcha. That's, you know, you are asking wonderful questions.
Thank you.
Know? He and I actually met, you know, when we first started part-time at, you know, Primerica. So, you know, defining moments, of course. And so he actually was a client.
I'm a report you, girl. No, I'm just kidding.
And over the years, we built up a great, you know, friendship. And so we are both serial entrepreneurs. You know, and he was raised from mom and dad, both you know, entrepreneurs. You know, in the trucking industry. And so as a result, we had a lot in common. We enjoyed life, and then fast forward when we first had our first date. Our first date, he took me to dinner theater, and his thing was, let me see if she can't actually get along with people that she don't necessarily know. How does she work in a crowd, etc. That was his test, but hey, I hate tests.
You passed with flying colors, obviously.
Touché, I did. And so for us as a couple, you know, we both have some things we want to grow. You know, socially, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and we have a lot of goals. All right, and so for us, we're building them together, and we enjoy most of the same things. And we're two Leos.
Oh my gosh, how does that work?
You know,
Leos like to be the center of attention for y'all who don't know. So two Leos in a relationship must be very dynamic, is what we'll say.
We make it work. I don't know how, but we make it work. And I enjoy the fact that, hey, we're building you know, businesses respectively together. You know, and I watch great examples of his family as well as entrepreneurs. And so my father loves him as if he's the other son. You know, and that's a great thing. So we building and growing, and we don't have a family, so it's just us enjoying each other. You know, we have nieces and nephews. You know, that we pour into. So overall, you know, we have our, you know, moments where we clash, but some days I forget what we were arguing about.
Of course.
You know, and we move forward, you know, because we have ultimately some things that we got to do as a family.
That makes sense. That makes so much sense. I love that. I love this emergence of partners working together in business, in life. Obviously, well, I'm not going to say obviously. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to pose this as a question. What do you think is the key to success? You've been married for a long time.
Wow. We're working on communication. I'm speaking for me. He's really good at hearing and asking a lot of questions. Sometimes questions I don't like to answer. You know. And we are good at making sure that, hey, if we do have an issue, he's going to make me come back and we're going to talk about it. You know. And so for us, the long term is what we're looking for. I told him he's my first husband. He's my only husband. and my last husband.
There you go.
You know, we're going to run this till the wheels fall off.
Okay.
You know, so for us, the longevity means that, hey, we're going to work through whatever, you know, by hook, cook, or crook, is the term.
Yes.
You know, and make it happen.
Okay.
You know, and we surround ourselves with people who nurture us. You know, I always tell people, even the people who came to our wedding, I told them they have a responsibility. They're our accountability partners.
I love it.
Because I invited them for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are our accountability partners, and we keep them accountable. And we just surround ourselves with people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
That's key.
Yes.
Surround yourselves with people who are like-minded. We have very diverse friends. You know, very diverse friends. So just like-minded people.
So what I'm hearing, because I like to pull out the nuggets, is first off, I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. So from what I'm hearing, Racine's key to success is communication, commitment, and having that tribe, that community of people that are going to support and hold you accountable to what you say you want to do and who you want to be.
Absolutely.
Right?
Sometimes it's not good to hear the feedback, but hey, they're there for your best interest.
Feedback and feed forward.
There you go.
Bam.
There you go.
I love you.
I love you too.
No threat to husband, but
No.
I love you. And I'm really happy that we connected. I'm excited for us to continue to stay connected and maybe even do some collaboration in future.
Yes.
Can you tell our audience how they can connect with you?
Our website is racinereichert.com, and our email is info@racinereichert.com. That's Racine, RACINERIKARD.com.
Fantastic. And as we bring this episode to a close, I like to close with a question.
Okay.
So if there is someone out there who is completely baffled by finance and their life financially is in shambles, they're up to their ears in debt, they don't know where to start, they're not a numbers person, what would be a good first step for them to at least take ownership of the mess
Good question.
and start to move through it?
I always say first you've acknowledged it. You know, no embarrassment. There's no such thing. But acknowledging it and asking for help is your next step. A lot of times people don't ask for help.
True.
They just go and wing it. Don't wing it. Just ask for help. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to keep it simple so that it doesn't go over your head. I tell people you don't need a PhD to learn the simple facts, and I keep it simple.
Thank you so much. So keep it simple. Shame is the devil. Ask for help.
Exactly.
And thank you again for joining this episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can see more interviews like this one with inspiring women from all over, all walks of life. We put out videos weekly. You can also connect with us on all of the podcast channels. And if you want to connect really, really deeply, let's go ahead and connect inside of our Facebook group, Badass Bodacious Entrepreneurs, where a lot of these women are a part, and you can message us directly. All right? We look forward to seeing you next week. Namaste, and see you soon.